Merry Christmas, my baby darlings. It's Sunday again, so that means it's time for another Christmas video. This Friday was Nikolaus Tag, the day of Saint Nicholas. It's a really important day here in Germany and actually is celebrated in a lot of European countries. Nikolaus is a saint, as the name implies, and he was a 4th century bishop, the Bishop of Myra, which is in nowadays Turkey, but was Greek back then. There are a lot of myths around him. He was a so-called miracle worker, and I don't really believe in a lot of them, but which is really interesting, at least half of them have historic backgrounds that suggest that it's true, or kinda true, partially true. Now here are some historical backgrounds. Nikolaus was born to quite wealthy parents, but they died when he was a child, so he was raised by his uncle, who's actually called Nikolaus as well. And his uncle was a bishop, the Bishop of Patara, or something like that. And he trained his nephew to become a priest, and later a bishop as well. Now, as I said before, there are a lot of myths around him. But there's one which is, funny enough, not only the most important for why we celebrate him, but also the one who is the most probable to be true. The legend goes that there was a poor man in Myra with 3 daughters, and that man didn't have enough dowry for any of his daughters, not even one. So it was very improbable that they get married, and if they don't get work then, which was also very probable, they would have become prostitutes. They say that Nikolaus, who was a bishop back then already, heard of that tragedy and wanted to help them. Well, some say he was too modest to openly help them, and some say he wanted to spare the father the humiliation of taking charity. So one night he went to the house of the father with the 3 daughters and left 3 golden balls on the doorstep as a dowry when they get married. And that was a pretty good dowry. Here's where the legends differ quite a lot. Some say it wasn't 3 balls, but actually 3 pouches of gold, which is more probable, actually. And then another legend goes that he didn't leave them all at the same night, but visited the house 3 times, each time the night before one of the daughters came of age, which is also quite probable. The fact is that he helped this man and this family to not have prostitutes as daughters, which is quite nice, really. And in most of the other legends around him, they also go somewhere where he paid more attention to the poor and the old and the youngest, the children. So here's how we celebrate it. On the night of the 5th, the children clean their shoes, their winter boots most of the time, and leave them at the doorstep, where Nikolaus, when he goes around at the night, leaves little presents, like apples and tangerines and little chocolate Nikolauses, small things like that, small things that fit in the shoe. And it's really sweet, really. Now, you might have guessed where that led to. Yes, Saint Nikolaus was the first version of Santa Claus. He essentially is Santa Claus. So in Germany he comes twice. Once on December 6th and once on Christmas Eve. But I really like Nikolaus Tag because it's not about materialism that day. Christmas kind of became somewhat materialistic, but Nikolaus, the presents have to fit in the shoe, which is adorable. Also, just as Santa Claus, he knows who was good and who was bad, and they say that he leaves little presents for the good, and coal and a twig for the bed. Back in the days, he actually didn't just leave the twig, but spanked the bed. Of course, in most houses he leaves presents, no matter how good or bad the children were, but actually, one Christmas, my brother did not get any tangerines, but coal and a twig. Now I love my brother, but he really deserved it. And after that night, we kids were all like, oh shit, it's all true. He knows! He knows! We better be good that year. We're almost halfway around to Christmas, so be good kids. Take this as a lesson. Santa Claus actually knows. Merry Christmas!